The Galactic Council had watched Earth for decades with growing interest, their advanced sensors picking up the faintest signals from a young species that had only just begun to explore the stars as they made their first tentative steps beyond their atmosphere and into the void. But humanity had not been ready, not until now, when Earth's unified government had finally stabilized enough to send its first message to the galactic neighbors. The Council had agreed to meet with the humans in person, not through cold messages or technological probes, but face-to-face, an event that would define the future of this world. When the massive mothership appeared in Earth's orbit, it was like nothing the world had ever seen. It dwarfed the largest human-made structures by 1,000 times, shimmering with lights that seemed to pulse with life itself. It hovered above the planet for days as officials and citizens alike watched from every corner of the Earth. As the alien ship blocked out the sky with its size on the final day, the ship descended slowly through the atmosphere, creating a roar that shook buildings and rattled windows. The air itself seemed to tremble as it touched the ground. From the ship emerged the delegates, beings that looked nothing like the humans they had studied through their telescopes and their digital transmissions. Some of them were tall and graceful, with skin like marble glowing faintly in the twilight. Some were short and squat with wide eyes that seemed to see through everything. Some had no visible faces, only shifting forms like living shadows, while others were as brightly colored as any tropical bird. But despite their alien appearances, the humans saw one thing clearly: these beings were not from Earth, and they were powerful beyond anything humanity had ever dreamed. President Annalisa Creed watched from the control room with a mixture of awe and unease. Her heart beat a little faster as she took in the sight of the first intergalactic visitors. Her fingers hovered over the buttons of her console, ready to take command at a moment's notice. But her mind raced with uncertainty. What did they want from Earth? And why had they come now? Why had they chosen humanity to join them in their cosmic network? The alien delegation was led by a tall figure whose face was both regal and alien. Their voice, when they spoke, was deep and resonant. The translator device ensured that everyone could understand, though the words felt strange in their mouths. These beings called themselves the Ythor. They were old, incredibly old, and had seen the rise and fall of many civilizations. They spoke of the Galactic Council, a network of worlds that had stood the test of time for countless millennia. They spoke of unity and peace that could be achieved if only humanity would join them. The humans listened in silence as the Ythor ambassador presented his offer. It was grand, more than most could imagine. At first, the offer sounded too good to be true. Advanced technologies that could heal every disease known to man, energy resources beyond Earth's wildest dreams, and knowledge that could advance humanity's understanding of the universe by centuries. All of it was within reach if Earth would just agree to join the Galactic Council. Annalisa Creed stood in the front of the room, her expression unchanging. As the ambassador finished speaking, she felt the weight of the moment pressing on her chest, and then she spoke the words that would change everything for humanity. "We thank you for your offer, but we cannot accept it. Not yet, not in this way," she said, her voice steady and firm. The Ythor looked at her with surprise, their alien eyes wide. They had not expected this. Humanity had shown no signs of such defiance. Yet they had expected the humans to fall in line like every species before them. But Earth was different. The room was silent, a tension so thick it felt like it could be cut with a knife. President Annalisa Creed's words hung in the air like an unresolved chord. The Ythor ambassador's eyes narrowed slightly, processing the unexpected response. It was rare that any species, especially one so young and untested, would turn down such a monumental opportunity. The other delegates, standing behind the Ythor, exchanged uncomfortable glances, some of them shaking their heads in disbelief. How could these humans possibly reject the greatest gift they could ever receive? Annalisa remained calm, though inside her mind raced. She had prepared for this moment, but now that it was happening, she could feel the weight of history pressing on her shoulders. Behind her, members of the human delegation shifted uneasily. They had all understood the significance of this moment, but now, as the Ythor ambassador's towering form loomed over them, they realized just how much was on the line. It wasn't just about Earth's future anymore. It was about who Earth would become. and whether they would be free to chart their own path. The Ythor ambassador straightened, his voice a deep rumble that resonated through the room. "You speak of autonomy, of independence," he said, the translator device rendering his words into the perfect language for human ears. "But do you understand what you risk? You stand on the precipice of greatness. The Council offers you the keys to the galaxy. Your species could rise to unimaginable heights, free of disease, hunger, and war. We are offering you peace, a chance to join the fold of civilizations that have endured for eons." Annalisa stood her ground. "And I am saying no," she replied, her voice steady but firm. "I respect what you've done for your people. I can see how your alliance has benefited the others. But that doesn't mean it's right for us." The words had barely left her lips when the murmurs from the other human delegates grew louder, some surprised by her decisiveness, others filled with doubt. One of the council members, a young diplomat named John Trask, stepped forward. "But President Creed, we've discussed this. This offer could end world hunger in a year, heal diseases, give us technologies we can't even imagine. We can't just dismiss it." Annalisa turned to him, her gaze unwavering. "I'm not dismissing it, John. I'm saying it's not worth the price. Our sovereignty, our freedom, our right to choose our own future, it's worth more than anything they can give us." The Ythor ambassador's gaze softened, a flicker of something akin to respect crossing his features. "You speak of freedom, human, but freedom comes with a cost. The Council does not demand your loyalty. It offers you the chance to grow, to become something more than you are. Surely, you do not believe that your species can thrive on its own forever, without guidance, without support." Another voice interrupted the conversation, this time a calm but resolute one from one of the other delegates, a diplomat from the Verkala, a race known for their analytical minds. "Perhaps the humans are not wrong to be cautious," the Verkala said. "They have no knowledge of the Council's true depth, no understanding of what it truly means to be a part of us. You cannot force them into our fold." The Ythor's gaze shifted to the Verkala, but there was no anger, only curiosity. "Are you suggesting we abandon this path? Do we allow a young species to defy the very wisdom we offer?" The Verkala diplomat met the Ythor's eyes. "I am suggesting we take a step back and observe. Humans have a resilience unlike any other species we've encountered. They may not need our wisdom in the way we think." The room fell silent again. Annalisa's heart pounded in her chest as she felt the eyes of every representative in the room turn toward her. The offer still hung in the air, like a tantalizing fruit just out of reach. Yet, for all its allure, Annalisa knew that accepting it would be a choice that would change humanity forever, and not in a way that could be undone. "We will not join the Council under these terms," Annalisa said once more, quieter now, but no less resolute. "We will take the time to understand what our place is in this galaxy, and we will do it on our own terms." With those words, the tension in the room became palpable, as though the very air around them had thickened. The Ythor ambassador turned slowly, considering her words, before nodding once, reluctantly. "Very well," he said, his voice like the sound of distant thunder. "But know this, humans. The galaxy is vast, and you may find that it does not bend to your will as easily as you think." Annalisa met his gaze with a quiet defiance. "Then we will make our own way." The moment Earth's rejection spread throughout the galaxy, the ripples of shock and disbelief surged like a tidal wave through the Galactic Council. For days, every corner of the galaxy buzzed with heated discussions, the once calm council chambers now filled with tense debates. News of the humans' defiance reached every species, some perplexed, others angered, and a few even intrigued by the audacity of such a young species to turn down an offer that had been eagerly accepted by countless others before them. The Ythor ambassador returned to his people, who were visibly rattled by the rejection. Among their race, the concept of refusal was nearly unheard of, especially when the offer involved joining the greatest collective of civilizations the galaxy had ever known. The Ythor, with their centuries of wisdom, could not comprehend the humans' desire to remain isolated from such a unified network. In their eyes, humanity had acted out of ignorance, blinded by pride, unable to see the vast opportunities they were turning away. But the response was not universal. In the sprawling halls of the Galactic Council, where species from all walks of life convened, some voices rose in opposition to the typical response of swift punishment. A few races began to question if humanity's rejection might, in fact, be more than simple defiance. It could be a sign of something deeper, a strength that transcended simple pride. At the heart of the storm stood the Verkala, a species renowned for their unyielding logical minds and decades of observing and studying other civilizations. The Verkala representative, a tall and slender being named Taraxul, was one of the few who didn't view humanity as an erratic anomaly. Instead, she proposed a radical idea: to give humanity time, to allow them the chance to grow on their own without immediate pressure from the Council. She believed that what humanity was experiencing wasn't merely defiance, but a test of their spirit, a bold assertion of independence. Let them breathe. Taraxul argued in a private session with the Council's highest members. What we have seen is not a refusal born from fear, but from something else, something we do not understand yet. The human species thrives on adversity, on challenges, in ways no other race has before. If we force them into submission, they will only fight back, and the results could be catastrophic for both sides. Her words were met with skepticism from several races, most notably the Viron, a species known for their militaristic tendencies and disdain for any form of weakness. The Viron were the loudest voices calling for a swift response. An example needed to be made. If Earth thought it could refuse the Council, they would soon learn the consequences of such arrogance. The tension between the factions in the Council was palpable. The Viron proposed a series of trade sanctions, cutting off Earth's access to galactic resources, while others, like the Trellis, voiced support for Taraxul's proposition. The Trellis were a mysterious race of telepaths who, despite their immense power, preferred subtlety and diplomacy to brute force. They saw potential in humanity's ability to resist, understanding that the galaxy itself might need new ideas, fresh blood, and a new outlook. Despite the political infighting, the Council voted, albeit narrowly, to send another envoy to Earth. This time, the mission would be less about submission and more about understanding. Their message was clear. Humanity's rejection had not been taken lightly, but they were being given a second chance. The fate of Earth now rested on whether humanity would open its doors to the Council's guidance or continue down its own path. On Earth, Annalisa Creed and her team kept their resolve. While the Council scrambled to organize their next move, Earth's leaders began to prepare, fully aware that the galaxy was not likely to let go of them so easily. The stakes were higher now than ever before. Humanity was no longer just a player in the game of galactic politics. It had become a symbol, a challenge to everything the Council stood for. The question that remained was whether humanity would be able to stand firm in the face of what was to come. The days following the Galactic Council's vote were filled with anticipation and dread. Earth's leaders, though resolute, could feel the weight of the situation growing heavier with each passing day. The Council's second envoy was on its way, and despite the diplomatic promises of a peaceful mission, there was an undercurrent of tension that no one could ignore. The feeling that the galaxy was watching them, waiting for humanity to make its next move, hung over Earth like an unspoken challenge. Annalisa Creed spent sleepless nights in her office, poring over reports from Earth's top scientists and military strategists. While most of the world was focused on the diplomatic fallout, she knew that the time had come for humanity to show the galaxy that it was not helpless, that it had more to offer than just resistance. Her thoughts were interrupted one evening by a message from her chief scientist, Dr. Marcus Heller, who had made a breakthrough in a project that no one outside his team knew about. "I think we've done it," Dr. Heller said, his voice filled with excitement and urgency. "We've figured out how to harness the energy from the alien technology we recovered from the Ythor ship. It's different from anything we've ever seen, But it works. We can use it to power anything. Ships, cities, even weapons. Annalisa's eyes widened as she absorbed the implications. The Council had offered them advanced technologies in exchange for their submission. But now Earth had something that could rival those very advancements. Something entirely human-made. It was a leap forward. An unexpected advantage. The breakthrough could change everything. If the galaxy didn't take them seriously before, they would now. Over the next few days, Dr. Heller's team worked tirelessly to refine the energy source, which they called Aetherium. It was a form of energy that drew power from quantum anomalies, a discovery based on human ingenuity and some of the Ythor technology that Earth had managed to reverse engineer. The energy was virtually limitless, clean, and unlike anything the galaxy had seen. Humanity now held the key to reshaping the future of space travel and intergalactic power balance. But as the final tests were completed, a decision had to be made. Annalisa knew that if they showed the Council this new technology, it would change the entire dynamic. The stakes were no longer just about diplomacy. They were about survival. She called an emergency meeting with her inner circle. "We cannot afford to be naive," Annalisa said, her voice calm but firm. "This technology could make us a target, or it could be the leverage we need. We cannot just hand it over to the Council. We need to keep our autonomy, but we also need to protect ourselves. This is humanity's future, and we won't let anyone take it from us." Some members of her team were hesitant, knowing the risks involved in playing such a dangerous game. But there was no turning back now. The message to the Galactic Council was clear. Earth would not be forced into submission. They would meet the Council on equal terms, not as subordinates, but as equals. On the day the second envoy arrived, Earth's message was broadcast across the galaxy, transmitted from the very heart of the United Nations headquarters. The entire world watched as Annalisa Creed addressed the galaxy once more. "We appreciate the Council's patience, but we will not be coerced. We will not be led like sheep. We have something to offer, something that could change the galaxy. We offer this technology not out of fear or desperation, but as an invitation. Join us, but do so on equal ground. Humanity will not bow to any force, no matter how ancient or powerful." As the broadcast ended, the silence that followed was deafening. No one knew how the Council would respond, but one thing was certain. Humanity had just shown the galaxy that it was not to be underestimated. The transmission from Earth rippled across the galaxy, and within hours, the Galactic Council was in an uproar. The sheer audacity of humanity's message left the Council members in a state of stunned disbelief. For the first time in their collective history, a species had not only rejected the Council's offer, but also threatened to hold a powerful new technology over their heads. The once imposing presence of the Council was suddenly shaken by the realization that a relatively young species, one that had yet to explore more than a fraction of their star system, now wielded the power to change the balance of the entire galaxy. The Ythor delegation was the first to respond. They convened in private, discussing the implications of Earth's new discovery. The Ythor were the oldest and most influential race in the Council, and their reaction to humanity's challenge would set the tone for how the other races would respond. The Ythor ambassador, who had previously been so confident in the Council's authority, now found himself questioning his own certainty. How could humanity, with no history of galactic diplomacy and limited technological prowess, have come to hold such a game-changing asset? "Perhaps we have underestimated them," the Ythor ambassador said, his voice filled with a rare hesitation. "This Aetherium, it's beyond anything we've encountered. It could revolutionize energy, space travel, weaponry, everything. We cannot ignore this." "But we cannot allow them to dictate terms to us either," countered a Viron representative, their voice cold with disdain. "If we allow them to continue like this, we risk emboldening other species to challenge the Council's authority. The consequences could be catastrophic." Across the room, the trellis, the telepathic species known for their ability to read the emotions of others, remained silent, observing the arguments unfold. After a long pause, a Trellis representative named Vithar spoke. What if this is what the galaxy needs? What if humanity's resistance is not a threat but a spark? They are unlike anything we've seen. They may not be ready for our guidance, but perhaps we are not ready for theirs. The Yithur and the Viron exchanged glances. For a moment, the room fell quiet as the weight of Vithar's words sank in. There was no consensus, but the council was at a crossroads. They could either double down on their centuries-old methods of dominance and control, or they could adapt, begin to acknowledge the unpredictable force that humanity had become. Meanwhile, on Earth, President Annalisa Creed and her team prepared for what was to come. The Council's response was expected within days, and though their new technology had given Earth a powerful bargaining chip, it had also painted a target on their back. The military was put on high alert, and preparations for potential galactic conflict began, though Annalisa was determined not to take the first aggressive step. "We won't make the mistake of starting a war," Annalisa said during a strategy meeting with her military advisors. "But we have to be ready. The Council may respond with force or diplomacy, but either way, they will want a piece of this technology, and we cannot afford to lose it." Dr. Marcus Heller, who had been instrumental in the development of the Aetherium, shared her concerns. "The Council is powerful. If they want this technology, they won't hesitate to take it by force if they feel it's the only option. We need to protect this research with everything we've got." The pressure was mounting on every front. Earth's position was precarious. The galaxy had never seen a species reject the Council's offers, and now it had never seen a species with the potential to shift the balance of power in their favor so quickly. Humanity had a new weapon, but it was a double-edged sword. With every passing day, Annalisa's resolve grew stronger. There was no turning back now. The galaxy had underestimated humanity, and it would be forced to reckon with the consequences. Earth's future, once uncertain, was now in its own hands, and Annalisa Creed would fight to ensure that humanity would not bend to anyone's will, galactic or otherwise. As the final communication from the Council arrived on Earth's doorstep, the tension between the two sides reached its peak. The Council had made their decision, and now humanity had to decide how far they were willing to go to defend their future. The message from the Galactic Council arrived like a storm on Earth's doorstep, its arrival signaling the beginning of a new chapter in the galactic conflict. It was delivered not in the form of a broadcast or a public transmission, but through an encrypted communication, a direct message to Earth's leadership, marked with an urgency that was impossible to ignore. President Annalisa Creed stood before the holotable in the UN Command Center, her team gathered around her. The message was clear. The Council had made its decision, and they were no longer offering humanity the luxury of time. The holo display flickered to life, showing the form of the Yithor ambassador, his expression cold and calculated, his posture regal. The other delegates could be seen standing in the background, their faces unreadable, but their presence was felt nonetheless. The message was concise, direct, and unambiguous. Humanity has made its stance clear. The Yithor ambassador began, his deep voice carrying the weight of millennia of power. "We respect your independence, but we will not allow you to threaten the stability of the galaxy. You have rejected our offer, and in doing so, you have chosen a dangerous path. The Aetherium technology you possess, while impressive, is not a gift. It is a tool, and tools are meant to be shared for the greater good." Annalisa's hands clenched into fists, her jaw tightening. She had expected this kind of response. An ultimatum was inevitable. The message continued, and the threat in the air grew thicker. "You have two options," the ambassador said, his gaze never wavering from the camera. "You can either join the Galactic Council as an equal member, surrender your Aetherium technology, and share your findings with us, or you will face the consequences of your refusal. The Council is willing to extend a grace period of 30 standard days. After that, Any further resistance will be met with force. The choice is yours." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the room heavy with the tension of impending consequences. A stunned silence fell over the team. Earth had just been given an ultimatum: submit or face the full wrath of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. "Grace period," Annalisa muttered, her voice low but laced with anger. "They think we'll just fold, that we'll give up what's ours because they've made threats. Do we even have a choice?" John Trask, her foreign policy advisor, asked. His face was pale, his voice carrying a note of concern. "The Viron will push for military action, and if the Ythor stand behind them, no one will be able to stop them. If we refuse, it might not just be a matter of defense. It could mean total destruction." Annalisa turned to her team, her eyes fierce. "We have one weapon now: our resolve. They've underestimated humanity from the start, and they're still underestimating us. The Council doesn't realize that we don't just fight with weapons, we fight with determination, with an unyielding will to survive. And they've forgotten one thing: when backed into a corner, humanity thrives." The room was still tense, but Annalisa's words had given them a renewed sense of purpose. There would be no surrender, not now, not ever. Earth had made its choice, and they would stand by it, no matter the cost. Dr. Heller, standing off to the side, spoke up. "The Etherium is still in its early stages. We've barely scratched the surface of its potential, but we can't give it up. Not to them, not to anyone. It's ours to protect, and we have to keep pushing forward, testing its limits." "But can we defend it if the Council comes for us?" asked Trask. "I'm not sure we can stop them completely," Annalisa admitted, her voice steady but tinged with concern. "But we can make sure that we're not just a target. We can make them think twice before they come for us. We'll use everything we've learned, every advantage we have. We've been pushed to the edge before, and we've come back fighting. This time will be no different." As the leaders of Earth prepared for the worst, Annalisa made the call to mobilize Earth's military forces, reinforcing their defenses across the globe. The Etherium would remain hidden, its full potential protected from the eyes of the Council. But in the background, a quiet message began to spread among humanity. A message of resistance, of strength, and of unity. Earth would not bow to anyone. In the depths of space, the Council waited, unaware that humanity had already begun to prepare for war. The next 30 days would determine whether Earth would submit or stand tall as a force to be reckoned with. The final days of the Galactic Council's ultimatum loomed heavy on Earth, like a storm gathering on the horizon. The air crackled with anticipation as the planet's governments, military forces, and scientists worked in overdrive, preparing for what was to come. Earth was no longer just a pawn in the galactic game. It had become a player, one with a new weapon and an unyielding resolve. But the price of resistance was yet to be seen. Annalisa Creed sat in the war room, her eyes scanning the live updates as military units prepared for the worst. The Etherium technology had been secured, hidden in various undisclosed locations, each one fortified by Earth's most advanced defenses. The energy source had the potential to change the course of the galaxy, but it was also humanity's most dangerous asset. If the Council wanted it, they would have to come for it, on humanity's terms. 24 hours, John Trask said, his voice taut. 24 hours until the deadline. We got every defense network on full alert. Ships are in position. And we've got all the satellites locked onto Council communications. Annalisa nodded, her face grim. We've made our stance clear. If the Council decides to attack, they'll find that Earth isn't as easy a target as they think. Dr. Marcus Heller, ever the optimist, stood beside her, his fingers twitching as he reviewed data on the Etherium. We've barely scratched the surface of its potential, but we're making progress. I believe we can accelerate our development, if we need to. And if we don't have time. Trask asked, his gaze focused on the screen displaying the looming deadline. If we don't have time. Annalisa said, her voice sharp, then we fight. We give everything we have." The tension in the room was thick, every eye on the clock as the final hours slipped away. The world watched as the events unfolded, every nation united in a common cause. There was no more division, no more debate. Humanity had chosen its path, and now they would face the consequences of that choice together. On the other side of the galaxy, the Galactic Council's response was swift. In the final hour before the deadline, a massive fleet of ships, led by the Ythor, entered the edge of Earth's solar system. The ships, larger than any human vessel, pulsed with alien energy. The vastness of the fleet sent a chill through the nerves of Earth's military commanders. But they were ready. The world's leaders gathered once more, a final message broadcast to the galaxy, reaching the Council's representatives directly. Annalisa stood at the podium, her face resolute as she spoke to both Earth and the galaxy at large. "This is not a war we wanted," she said, her voice steady. "But we will not be intimidated, nor will we submit to any force that seeks to take our future from us. Earth will defend itself, no matter the cost. We may be young, but we are not weak. This is our home, and we will fight for it." Her words resonated across the world, rallying humanity to its cause. The message was simple. Earth would stand on its own, and it would not yield. The Ythor fleet hovered in orbit above Earth, their ships a constant reminder of the power they held. The Ythor ambassador sent a final communication, his tone colder than before. "You have chosen the path of conflict, President Creed. There will be no turning back now." "We will never turn back," Annalisa replied, her voice unwavering. As the Council's ships moved closer, humanity prepared to defend the one thing that mattered above all else: their sovereignty, their future. Every ship in Earth's fleet had been armed with Aetherium-based weaponry, and while still untested in battle, it was their last line of defense. The time for diplomacy was over. Now it was about survival. The skies above Earth began to darken as the first shots rang out, a surge of energy from Earth's ships colliding with the massive Ythor fleet. It was unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. Earth's forces, though outnumbered, fought back with an intensity and determination that caught the Council off guard. As the battle raged on, the Council realized just how much humanity had changed in the last few decades. No longer were they a fledgling species to be molded and shaped by the whims of the galaxy's oldest civilizations. Earth was a force, and the galaxy would have to reckon with it. But amidst the chaos, one thing was clear: this was just the beginning. The outcome of this battle would shape the fate of humanity for generations to come, and Earth would fight to the bitter end to ensure its place in the stars. The battle for Earth had reached its climax, and the skies above the planet were alive with the fury of war. Earth's forces, though vastly outnumbered, fought with a resilience and ferocity that stunned the Galactic Council. The Ythor fleet, once so confident in their overwhelming superiority, found themselves struggling against the unpredictable, unrelenting tactics of the humans. Every blast of energy from Earth's ships sent shockwaves through space, and the Aetherium-powered weapons, the galaxy's newest and most dangerous technology, proved to be a game-changer. The Ythor were caught off guard by the raw power and unpredictability of humanity. They had expected a quick, decisive victory, but Earth's forces adapted and countered with a resourcefulness that the galaxy's ancient races had long forgotten. The Ythor, with all their wisdom and history, had underestimated the spirit of humanity. And now, they were paying the price. From the heart of the battle, Annalisa Creed stood at the UN Command Center, her gaze locked on the holographic displays of Earth's military progress. Every decision, every move had led to this moment. The countdown to Earth's survival was ticking away, and the results were slowly turning in humanity's favor. "We've got them on the ropes," John Trask reported, his voice filled with cautious optimism. "The Ythor fleet is starting to pull back. The Aetherium-based weaponry is doing more damage than we anticipated." Annalisa nodded, though her face remained hard with determination. "Keep pushing," We can't let up now. We need to show them that humanity is not to be trifled with. As the battle continued, Earth's forces began to push the Ythor fleet into retreat. The sheer might of the Ethereum-powered weaponry had tipped the scales in humanity's favor, but it was more than just technology that had made the difference. Humanity fought with a unique intensity, a drive to protect their world and their future that was unlike any other species in the galaxy. But amidst the chaos, the Galactic Council's response began to shift. The tide of war was turning, and the representatives of the various races began to see that Earth had proven itself. The Viron, once the loudest voices calling for the destruction of humanity, now remained silent as they watched the battle unfold. The Trellis, ever attuned to the emotions of others, felt a shift in the galaxy's collective consciousness, a realization that humanity's place in the galaxy had changed forever. The Ythor, who had once considered themselves the undisputed rulers of the Council, now found themselves questioning their position. They had underestimated humanity's ability to fight and survive, and they had miscalculated the importance of their own offer. Humanity had stood its ground, and now they were beginning to realize that this was not a species to dominate. It was a species that could stand alongside them as equals. The Ythor ambassador, standing at the heart of his command ship, looked out over the retreating fleet. His mind raced, torn between the pride of his people and the undeniable truth of what he was witnessing. He had believed that humanity was nothing more than an upstart species, full of arrogance and pride. But as the battle raged on, he saw something he had never expected, a species willing to fight for its survival, to defend its future with every ounce of strength it had. "Send word to the rest of the Council," the Ythor ambassador finally said, his voice carrying the weight of his decision. "We must reconsider. Humanity is not our enemy. They have earned their place among the stars." The final moments of the battle were swift. Earth's fleet, bolstered by the strength of their unity and the power of Aetherium, delivered the final blows to the retreating Ythor ships, forcing them into a full retreat. The message was clear. Earth was no longer just a spectator in the galaxy. It had proven itself as a force to be reckoned with. As the last remnants of the Ythor fleet vanished into the void, Annalisa allowed herself a moment of quiet relief. The battle was won, but the war for Earth's place in the galaxy had just begun. The Galactic Council would have to rethink their approach to humanity, and Earth would never again be seen as a weak and naive species. The days that followed were filled with both celebration and reflection. Humanity had proven its worth, but now the question was what would come next. The Galactic Council, though hesitant, began to send envoys to Earth once more, not as conquerors, but as potential partners. Earth's place in the galaxy had been secured, but it was up to humanity to decide what kind of future it would build. Annalisa stood before the world once again, her voice steady as she spoke to a united planet. "This is our time. We have proven to the galaxy that we will not be ruled. We are equals now, and we will build a future not in fear, but in strength. This is just the beginning. The stars are ours to explore, and we will do so on our own terms." As she finished, the skies above Earth seemed to brighten, as if the universe itself recognized humanity's newfound place among the stars. The dawn of a new era had begun.